Hello and welcome to ZgermanGuy Reviews. I'm ZgermanGuy. No time to explain. If you have any questions, watch my review of Wickie the Viking. This is the sequel, Vikings Great Journey. We begin the movie with our gang of barbarians arriving in some distant land, Wickie having joined his father Harval this time. Oh, this is gonna be such a wonderful father-son bonding experience. We're gonna sit around the campfire, we go fishing, I show him how to correctly chop off heads and put them on spikes so that they don't fall off. It's gonna be great. And I am not actually that far off. Harval is training his son to be a true Viking, starting by telling him how to rob a caravan, by silently sneaking up to one of the men and taking his keys. Okay, what the flippity flip? Vikings don't sneak. Vikings go roar! I mean, we all have played Assassin's Creed Vikings. I don't, but I'm sure this is not historically accurate. Before Wickie can grab the keys, however, a girl appears and snatches them away. The soldiers wake up, but our little genius is saved by Harval and the boys. Our little hero is put in a cage with some Inuit children. Because that's the actual name. Eskimo is actually a slur. You might as well call them snow. The girl who took the key before he could shows up again and refuses to let him go. And just to be an extra cunt, she startles the horses, who are heading straight for a crash. But thanks to Wickie's wit, they are able to free themselves. They give him their version of thanks and leave. So what is the Inuit version of a tongue kiss? Do they have to, like... The young boy finds a book in the grass, but has no time to look at it because his father shows up, whose entire character development of the first movie seems to have been undone, as he is once again completely disappointed in his son and can't handle the fact that he just isn't a muscle man, but a brain muscle man. Thankfully, Halvar gets a bit of his own medicine, as all the women in the village show their full disappointment when their good-for-nothing men come back home, with nothing to show. Because Sven the Terrible always was there before them. I knew on the day he was holding his sword under my chin and asked me to marry him, I should have said, yes, instead of yes! They have an unexpected visitor. The girl from earlier was hiding on their ship and takes the book from Wickie. He chases after her but gets beaten, which makes him the laughingstock of all the children near and far. He saved all your lives, you ungrateful shit funnel! Also, has any single one of you ever fought with a girl? They use claws. Later, he and his only friend Ilvi take a look at a book he found. It's a logbook by another Viking. Captain's log. My entire crew was killed in the last battle. Only I am left. In hindsight, trying to conquer Russia during winter may has been a bit too ambitious. The book talks about a great and mighty treasure. Wickie informs his father. Halvar promises his community that they will get this treasure and be fucking rich as fuck. There's just one problem. Yeah, the almost immunity to the effects of alcohol that the Nordic people have has to be developed first over the centuries. Small suggestion, try not to get preemptively drunk before the work is even done. Anyway, his father got father-napped. Naturally, Wickie and Halvar's companions search for him, starting in the village from morning to afternoon. Are you sure you checked all of the 12 houses? Well then check again. They quickly find out who did it, however. Sven the Terrible, who left his signature for them. I would have loved it if he just left behind a photograph, kind of like Sly Cooper does all the time. Or heck, just a bunch of roses. The fabulous menace strikes again. Wickie is made chief of the entire village in his dad's absence, and his first order is to go and rescue his father from Sven's castle. It doesn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence in your leadership qualities when all you aim to do is try to bring the old government back. They are off to a rocky start, since their new boss has absolutely no clue what he is doing. Almost as if leadership by birthright is a bad idea or something. They sail for a while until they are about to be hit by a lightning storm. When Wickie doesn't know what to do, he puts it up to a vote. I mean, the king of Bhutan gave his people democracy, which makes him the best king in all of history in my opinion, because he is someone who realizes that there never should be such a thing as a king. But I don't think that, do you want to be hit by a lightning storm? Yes or no? Is something that should be put up to a vote.
This just in. Yes, one.
Their prisoner volunteers to cut off the sail so that they won't be pushed into the waves. She succeeds, but without a sail, they are forced to go on land, where they are being captured by Amazons. Quick question. Why did the story of mermaids ever become so famous among horny sailors, and not something like this, an island with only women? Does liking mermaids fall under the category of furries? The women want to drown them in the sea, but Wickie can save them by promising that they will give them the treasure they are looking for. They ask them if they have the amulet that is needed to get to it, which of course has been taken by Sven from Halvar. Upon hearing the name of the terrible guy, they release them, because the treasure holds great power that the evil man can't be allowed to get his hands on under no circumstances. We would love to come with you and save the world from terrible terror, but our main building is still upgrading and we don't have ships yet. Wickie has a moment of sadness, wondering if his father will ever be proud of him. We already established that the first film didn't happen, so move on please. The ship arrives at the Canyon of Odin, which totally reminds me of the Bermuda Triangle in Pirates of the Caribbean 5. The world of pirate movies is still the same. There's just less in them. Anyhow, I'm sure that won't be important in any way. They spot Sven's castle, beat up some entertainer to get in, and they make a lot of noise, which attracts the evil lord's men. Of course, not a single one of them recognizes their faces. Even though not long ago Wickie was their prisoner. But anyway, they have to play the fools for a while. When they are done, they go to Halvar's prison cell. Wickie tries a bargain with the guards.
You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short. The negotiations were short.
But oh no, the girl they brought with them turns out to be Sven's daughter, who goes by the name Svenja. Yeah, that's very creative naming conventions there. I know for a lot of people having children is just an extension of their own ego, but come on, you don't have to make it that obvious. It was her mission to put something in everybody's drink that will put them to sleep and bring back the book, as it is also needed to get the treasure. The crew works as a team, which allows Wickie to reach a window. He then takes the amulet back and steals the keys to free his friends. They use some of the knight's armor to hide in, moving around more than a kid that just a minute ago discovered the recording function of his video recorder. Was that a Doctor Who reference? Weeping Vikings, everyone. They use the Canyon of Odin as a way to escape. Inside the canyon, a battle breaks out, during which Wickie takes back the book from Svenja, while Sven takes back the amulet from Halvar. Thinking that he has won, Sven pushes the other boat down a path that is deadly according to the sign. But the deadly path turns out to be more like a water slide for boats, and they end up in a very new land. Henceforth this new country shall be known as Wikipedia. The good news is that on this way they should be sooner at the place where the treasure is hidden. The bad news is that if they don't do anything soon, they will freeze to death. Halvar asks his son to come up with something, but even he is out of ideas. Well, you could say he is pretty much having a brain freeze. If this was a video game, however, this would be the moment where decisions from the beginning of the game are now coming back. And it's true. The Inuit family shows up and saves them. A giant skull forms the entrance to the vault. Just once I want to see a giant ominous skull that is just a very awful spot they picked for a petting zoo. Halvar's calculations turned out to be wrong because Sven and his crew used his amulet to get inside. But of course, without the book they won't get any further, as the book explains how to get around all the traps. When you try to get to the end boss but haven't read any of the diary entries scattered around. They get spotted and Wickie is tasked with solving the riddle, and I just love how this ancient manual just looks like some drawings from someone who got bored in school. Anyhow, Wickie is brought down by an ice elevator where he finds Thor's hammer. An Avengers team made out of children's cartoons. Make it happen. Svenja follows him and tries to get to it, but gets stuck on a bridge, which sounds as if it is going to collapse. Now that's some mean trolling. Imagine you spend hours trying to solve some bullshit riddle only to then fall down a trapdoor. That's like running a marathon only to see that at the finishing line there's a guy with a tranquilizer gun. Our hero saves Svenja's life by convincing her to trust him. Shortly after, Harval and Sven break through the floor. You know, the villain in Uncharted 4 was actually pretty pragmatic in that way. Why go through all this headache-inducing bullshit when you can just bomb your way through the main room? Sven gets the weapon and thus begins Thor on a budget. Going power mad, Sven uses the hammer to change the weather into a warm sunny day, which starts to melt Ice Crown. But just like way back in the previous film, Sven isn't defeated, but rather defeated by himself. Svenja has the chance to kill our heroes, but she doesn't, instead choosing to throw away the hammer, as no one should have this kind of power. Finally, the Palace of Ice is collapsing in on itself. They then sell Sven and his henchmen to the Inuit tribe as slaves. I'm a bit disturbed how casually our protagonist is doing that. Wickie says goodbye to Svenja, who accepts that she is now property with a smile. Seriously, what the fuck? And the whole entourage goes home to the Viking village, ending exactly the same way the last movie ended. Enjoy the short moment of acceptance, my son, cause as soon as the third movie rolls around, I am going to have speed dementia again. This movie is pretty decent, but not as good as the first one. While the movie avoids being a direct one-to-one replica, as some sequels are, there's still a lot of repeated elements. One could almost say that it is a remake, considering how much it exists disconnected from the first movie. There's still tons of charm to the characters and the world, but it just doesn't hit so well the second time around. The action got better, while the comedy lost lots of its charisma. It's like when you were a kid and you try the carousel for the first time. It's fun and great and you want to go again. But when you do, you realize that you are a bit dizzy. I also have to emphasize the shocking lack of Bully Herbig in this flick. Very shocking. Not too great, not too bad. Perfectly balanced. As all things should be. ZgermanGuy out and auf Wiedersehen.